Trusting your week has progressed well thus far and making the most of what remains. Many thanks for joining us for the Thursday edition of Primetime News. I'm Michael Madimba. We commence tonight's bulletin with some rather good news for already squeezed consumers. Chief Executive Officer of the Electricity Control Board, or ECB, Robert Kahimithe, announced that consumers will continue paying the approved tariffs for 2023-2024 instead of the new increased tariffs for 2024-2025, following public outcry over the increased electricity tariffs. Alinia Dishena brings us our lead story.
The ECB board, this is within our mandate and technically will allow licensees to deviate from the approved 24-25 approved schedule of approved tariffs as per section 27(3) of the Electricity Act. Approximately 221 million Namibian dollars of the 365 million that you have taken note has been set aside to assist NamPower to execute its mandate and to ensure uninterrupted security of electricity supply. The remaining 144 million will be utilized by the distribution utilities. These are the utilities that supply to the end consumers. We are all buying, majority of us, from the distribution companies. So it will be used by the distributors to lessen the impact of the electricity tariff on the customers for the said period. As such, the public is hereby informed that the ECB will engage the licensees on the modalities for recovering their approved revenue requirements for the year 24-25.
On to Namibia's road to the national elections. The Electoral Commission of Namibia, or ECN, has identified 11 new registration points in the Omuntele and Nehale-Yampingana constituencies in the Oshkosh region. Gabriel Thomas, our correspondent in the region, filed this insert.
Hipangera said in an interview with Nampa on Wednesday that they have identified 6 new registration points in the Omtele constituency and 5 registration points in the Nehale-Yampingana constituency. She said they have added 2 additional registration teams to serve the new points in the 2 constituencies. She added the 2 new additional registration teams will start on 3rd July and end 1st August 2024. They now have 48 registration teams in total. The new registration points in Nehale-Yampingana are at Twapandula Combined School, Omukulukila, Omwifi, Onatue, Elavi B, Oshikukutu B, whilst the new registration points in Omtele are at Onakazizi Church, Oshikomba Center, Omulamba Center, Okashakati Center, and Omtele Community Hall. Sylvia Hashandali reporting for Primetime News.
SWAPO Party President Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwa says the party is currently studying the landmark judgment that declared the sodomy law unconstitutional and invalid. More from Linia Dishena.
Yes, you know that I'm also a lawmaker, and that issue is a legal issue. And you heard that the government is studying the ruling. The same applies. I have also mentioned it in one of our meetings that SWAPO Party, we have directed our legal department to study the court ruling, and then it will take it from there. So that remains the position, as our Department for Legal Affairs has not yet come back to the leadership.
Moving on to a rather unfortunate incident. A Grootfontein businessman allegedly shot himself to death on Wednesday evening at his lodge situated outside the town. The Namibian Police Force Head of Community Affairs in the Otjisanjuba region, Senior Inspector Maureen Beyer, revealed the incident occurred at 6 p.m. at a large 5 kilometers north of Grootfontein. Our correspondent in the region, Molisa Simiasa, brings us more.
The deceased was identified by family members as 69-year-old Daniel Diederik van der Merwe. Beha said it is alleged that the deceased committed suicide by shooting himself in his bedroom with a revolver. The deceased was discovered by his wife on her arrival from town. She immediately called the ambulance, which transported him to a private hospital in Grootfontein, but he succumbed to his injuries. Police investigations continue. Sylvia Hashandali reporting for Primetime News.
Stay tuned for your top roundup and the business segment. Thanks for staying with us. The Primetime Biz segment kickstarts from Swakopmund, where Botswana President Mokgweetsi Masisi expressed the need for allocation of more resources at events akin to the Swakopmund International Trade Exposition, also known as SWITEX. Now, the exhibition platform convenes businesses and visionaries with the objective of enhancing intra-African trade. More from this insert.
Masisi, who was the guest speaker at the official opening of the Swakopmund International Trade Exposition on Wednesday in Swakopmund, noted that this is an effort to dispel misconceptions such as the fallacy that African nations engage in insufficient trade among themselves under the African Continental Free Trade Area. He said, with only a 15% level of intra-African trade, there is ample room for improvement. Hence, as leaders, we have pledged at the continental level to facilitate the seamless movement of people, goods, and capital to intensify trade within the African continent. Masisi emphasized that the wealth of information to be exchanged during expos such as Swakopmund International Trade Exposition will bridge information disparities and therefore motivate and empower participating companies to achieve unprecedented levels of business expansions. Sylvia Hashandali reporting for Primetime News.
Our next business update takes a corporate governance twist. Vice President Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah has urged heads of government parastatals to leave the offices and be on the ground and observe the work being done. The Vice President made the remarks during an engagement with Public Enterprise Chief Executive Officers in Windhoek on Wednesday. Let's have a listen.
Unfortunately, many of you fail to address the mission that you were given. However, in the process, we appreciate that you have now realized the mistake and you have started to correct those mistakes. That's what the chair of your association has informed us. And that's why we can say you'll be forgiven for the mistakes you have made, but now that you have started this road, there should be no forgiveness. You must really work in accordance to your mission, in accordance to your mandate.
Stay tuned for your economic roundup with the Sport Planet segment thereafter. But first, as a look at how the weather will shape up for tomorrow and the weather update. Welcome to the Sport Planet segment. Athletics headlined the segment. With only 22 days left before the opening ceremony of the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, the Namibian National Olympic Committee Secretary General, Joanne Smit, says this year Namibia will have one of the smallest delegations at the global sporting showpiece. Now, the 2024 Summer Olympics will feature athletes competing in 329 events across 32 sport codes from the 26th of July to the 11th of August in Paris, France, with some competitions starting on the 24th of July. Team Namibia will participate in 3 sports, namely cycling, marathons and swimming. As now we look at the business of the English Premier League. Erik ten Hag has signed a new contract extension that keeps him at Old Trafford until 2026, the Premier League club announced earlier today. There had been intense speculation over the Dutchman's future after a terrible 2023-24 Premier League campaign, but United ended the season with a shock 2-1 victory against Manchester City in the FA Cup final. The former Ajax manager, whose deal had been due to expire in 2025, admitted there was work to be done to close the gap on United's Premier League rivals. His new contract will lapse in June 2026. Stay tuned for your sports roundup. That's all we had for tonight's installment. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to follow the on-screen prompts to stay abreast with local and global developments shaping our world. From myself, Michael Madimba, and the entire production crew, it's good night.